Arseholes tend to do a little bit better in academia, and that's the first depressing fact that I learned. The more successful an academic was, they tended to be higher up on the arsehole spectrum than the people that I really sort of admired and loved, and they were the nicer end of the arsehole spectrum. So I've worked with professors from, entry-level universities where I did like my PhDs and some postdocs, and then I've collaborated with professors from sort of better, well-known institutions. And I must say, the better, well-known institution professors are always, almost certainly in my experience, always more of an asshole. Now, I've had plenty of horrible experiences, but it is always the more successful, the more kind of capable, the higher up in the academic ladder professors that are the hardest to work with. They talk down to you. They're not interested in you as a person or your research. They need you to do something for them, and they will sort of like bully you into doing it. I was sat in a meeting once, and one of the asshole professors said, well, you better do this because your job depends on it. Now, that is not motivational, is it? That's not motivational at all. And because the academic system favors arseholes, they end up getting promoted into areas of leadership. And unfortunately, I think I've been in far too many situations in universities where the leaders have sort of been promoted based on that behavior. And so they think that is what behavior leads to success. Therefore, they kind of implement that to everyone below them. And it's just a horrible place to work. I've seen some incredibly toxic leaders in academia, and they're generally nice people, but they kind of mold themselves to fit what they think success looked like, and they model behavior of other successful people. And I think that's kind of the vicious cycle that we found ourselves in. Let me know in the comments if you agree. This video is brought to you by my newsletter. Go check it out at andrewstapleton.com.au/newsletter. The link is in the description. When you sign up, you'll get 5 emails over about 2 weeks. Everything from the tools I use, the podcasts I've been on, my TEDx talk, and more. It's exclusive content, only available for free, so go sign up now. The second depressing fact that I learned during my PhD is that the university is insatiable with the amount of work that it wants from its professors, from its students, from its researchers. You can never satisfy the infinite black hole, which is the university system. It will always take what you can give it, and it wants more. So for example, if you're publishing, 5 papers a year, that's great. Can you do 10? It's never like, thank you so much for doing your best. It is quite a thankless position being in academia. Now, I'm not wanting, people to roll out the red carpet, but something more than a shitty tea room celebration, I think, is sometimes called for. They hand out these awards at ceremonies. Bits of paper where they go, well done you for doing something good. No, give me something more. Give me money. Give me some research money, whatever it is. It is very rare that I ever saw a university system, come from the top down where they just go, well done to this person, and here is a tangible something that is actually going to benefit you rather than a shit certificate. So overall, I think the university system always expects more. Some of the highest top sort of professors in the universities that I was going to published 20, maybe 30 papers a year, and that was never enough. You'd expect for that amount of effort from their graduate students and their researchers that, eventually some sort of kudos, some money, some payment of some sort, something tangible would filter down, and it never does. If you give the university system your life, it will take it and still want more. Another depressing fact that I learned during my PhD is that you are simply another cog in the conveyor belt of students that comes through to make the supervisor's career successful and keep their career moving. Now, the thing is that the way the system is structured is the supervisor is so kind of caught up in the daily academic grind of getting grant money, of doing university admin, of, supervising students that they literally can't be in the lab. I never saw a supervisor in the lab with me at any point, no matter what they said. The only time they were in there is for photo opportunities, like I've said in other videos. You can build up quite a close relationship with your supervisor. I know that I've had supervisors that I've loved, I've got on well with really well. But like everything in life, even in like any job, once you leave, even though that you've, put a lot of effort and you start to kind of like conflate your identity with your research. And so I think it hurts even more when you graduate or you leave and you just, someone else gets slotted right in. So it's no different, I guess, to any other kind of bureaucratic job where you're not irreplaceable. But in academia, these people require a continuous stream of PhD students, of researchers, just to sort of keep their own career afloat. And it's something that is a little bit cold on the old soul, I think. Another depressing fact is that no one, or hardly anyone, will read your research papers or your thesis. You put a lot of time and effort into making sure that your results are reproducible, that you can convince your peers that you've done something new, novel, and interesting that is worthy of being published in a good quality journal where other people will read your results and go, wow, that person's awesome. But no one ever says that. They get, you get a citation, you get a little bit of a thumbs up once you publish from your supervisor. They add it to their filer decks of papers and go, another one to include in my CV. But that's pretty much only kudos you get. You can increase the amount of impact that your papers have by communicating. Go check out my other video where I talk about the new superpower of academic research. And you can sort of like do your little bit to make sure that it goes a little bit further than just the journal article. But there isn't too much to it. Once that is over, it's all about the next one. What can you do again? What other papers are you working on? I've submitted papers to research supervisors and one of them literally said, "Excellent, well done. What's next?" Another depressing fact that I learned during my PhD was that you can work incredibly hard, like really hard, like so hard that you lose sleep and nothing can come of it. And that can be some of the most depressing times during your PhD, is when you face failure after trying so very, very hard. And of course, we all know the motivational things like when you reach failure, that's just the beginning of the work and not the end of it, all of that sort of stuff. But when you're in the moment, when you're feeling it, that can be very hard to take on board. So you can work incredibly hard, hours in the lab, you can work for months or years even, and then find out that what you're working on isn't true. It doesn't work. You've miscalculated something, that overall you've failed. And that can be very, very depressing. And the thing is that this happens far more often than we like to admit. Not in like massive ways, but general failure after failure after failure just happens during research. That's part of the process. And I think by fully embracing failure and by really sort of understanding that it's not the failure that defines your work, it's about being able to sort of like carry on and get the next thing, because no one remembers the failures. There's no journal of failures. There's only journal of successful like research experiments that you've done or research findings that you've got. So you've got to keep working until this looks brighter than this. But this will always be, the failure will always be buried deep down in your psyche, which means that you can never really enjoy the successes, because you're like, well, yeah, the reason I got all that is because I failed like 90% of the time. But of course, on the outside, no one sees that. It's like an iceberg. They just see the little shiny bit on top, but underneath, you know that there's loads of failures. And unfortunately, it means that it does detract a little bit from all of the stuff you should be proud of. So there we have it. There are the depressing facts that I think I learned during my PhD and after my PhD in my postdoc positions. Let me know in the comments what you would add to that. Do you agree? Disagree? Do you have any more that you want to add? And also, go check out academiainsider.com. That's my website where I've got my ebooks, the Ultimate Academic Writing Toolkit, as well as the PhD Survival Guide. They're there for a bundle sale price at the moment, so go check it out before that ends. And I'll see you in the next video.